Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Fisher and I'm here with one of my co-hosts in Krusty.
Hey everyone.
I am back this week after a short hiatus of 1 week because I've not been well, but I'm back this week. I've taken my Lemsip and my medicine and I'm here.
He's back
I'm still
to
not
take
great,
the reins
but,
and control the chaos, which was myself and Keeney.
Yeah,
But
and
fortunately,
Keeney's
he is
now-
back because otherwise you'd have had just me.
And now
that's no
Keeney's
fun
not
at all.
well as well either. So he managed to get through it last week, but not this week. And now I'm back. But yeah,
Tagged in.
2-man pod again. But yeah, I will apologize if I go on mute. If you hear any coughing in the background, I do apologize because
He's a hero and he's back.
I will still be coughing a little bit, but hopefully I should be all right for the duration of this podcast.
Which is talking about WWE, Raw and Smackdown this week.
Yes.
Bit of a build up to War Games, maybe a little bit of that in there. Some predictions, early predictions, maybe, so I can steal some ideas from Frax Fisher.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we start with Smackdown?
Yeah, let's start with SmackDown then. Let's start with the open up because that was sort of the big thing from the show, really, and also was a great match advertised in advance. We knew we were getting the New Day and the Usos one more time for the tag team titles, and I love the story of this. I suggested it a couple of weeks ago that I think they would do this because the New Day are going to be desperate to hold on to their record. I think it makes total sense that they went for this. And obviously, I think it was the right result with the Usos retaining their titles and breaking the New Day's record, passing their previous one. So that officially passed on Monday.
Done.
But yeah, it was a really, really good match. And as usual, these two teams put on a great show, didn't they?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I liked the finish with the 1D as Kofi jumped off the top rope. That was really cool. And yeah, these guys don't miss. I mean, I did get quite critical a little while back where they were just having match after match and it seemed like no other team was ever going to have a chance, but I really enjoyed this, and it was a change, I guess, from what we'd had in previous weeks. What do you think they go on to do now? I mean, obviously we've got War Games in the way, but maybe after that, what do you think is the course?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because obviously War Games, they'll be in the War Games match. That's pretty much confirmed at this point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they face afterwards.
Something that has just popped in my head. Where are the Street Profits gone?
I was thinking that because they haven't been on TV for weeks.
No, not heard anything about an injury or anything. Maybe they're rebranding themselves. I don't know.
Maybe it's a bit strange. They've gone quiet. But yeah, there's not too many obvious tag teams to face next. There's a possibility that maybe the Brutes feud will continue, unless they push the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens thing soon. But I
wouldn't mind seeing. I've said it before. A Drew and Sheamus tag
Drew and
team.
Sheamus, maybe, yeah.
And I'm not sure. A realistic tag team to beat them as well.
The Viking Raiders, now that they're back, maybe. I'm not really sure.
I'm not as much as they're good. I'm not convinced they would beat the Usos.
Oh no, I'm not saying they should win. I'm just saying that they could be the next feud. Yeah, because we haven't really seen that. I don't think not in a long time anyway. Really good match, and I thought the commentary from Michael Cole in this match was really, really good. Talking about the history between the two teams, the previous matches, like the Hell in a Cell match that they had, and the story between sort of Kofi Mania. They talked about that where the Usos forfeited in the tag team gauntlet to set up Kofi getting his run. There's some really, really good stuff, callbacks in this match. And really, really strong opener. I was surprised it didn't main event the show. I was like, wow, we're opening with this. But still a really good way to start SmackDown. Started it off really strong.
Yeah, definitely. Really enjoyed this. Should we talk, since we started talking about the start of the show, should we go on to the end?
Yeah, so basically, as soon as this happens, the Usos go backstage and they celebrate with Roman. And then Roman said, I've got something I need to address later on. And obviously that was the sort of main event segment of the show. He comes down, full entrance with the bloodline. Sami Zayn, by the way, was not there this week because I think he had a death in his family or something like that. So he had some personal issues to sort of get to. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it's something like that. So he was away for that reason, which they did acknowledge on commentary. But the rest of the bloodline were all there in full, and there were a lot of "We want Sammy" chants at one point. But we got basically the setup for the men's WarGames match here, didn't we?
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this segment, actually. Brawling Brutes come out, who I've noticed are always using their own music now, which I guess really solidifies them as a team. I know we would have had that for a little while, but it's always interesting to see. Say they've got backups, pretty obvious who it's going to be. Sheamus back from his wedding, in the real world wedding anyway. It'd be great to see him. The mic, they absolutely messed the mic up here, funny. Which was hilarious, with Sheamus talking but actually not being heard on the mic. But Roman really played it out well here, basically taking the mick out of Sheamus.
Yeah, he was like, you can't even get the mic to work. What are you going to do?
Which was really clever.
Really
I like
good,
that, because sometimes they stumble, don't they? They don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And then Drew, interestingly, comes to the rescue, which, as you said, it's all but confirmed that this is going to be our men's.
Yeah, well, the bloodline are
match.
on the Survivor Series poster, and there's a team of 5. Well, obviously, like I say, Sammy wasn't there, so it was four here. But it was a 4-on-4 brawl here. But obviously, this Friday, Sami Zayn has a World Cup match against Butch, so that's obviously in that feud. So I think we're going to get the fifth member revealed on SmackDown to counter Sami Zayn, is what I'm guessing. But yeah, this was a fun segment. It was brawl to go off the.
I wonder if he hadn't had his injury, would it have been Kevin Owens?
Well, this is what I was going to speculate. So I've read some stuff in the last couple of hours actually about this, because a lot of people were saying, a lot of people were saying last Friday, I bet it's Kevin Owens. A lot of people were speculating him. Some people speculated maybe like a Tyler Bate, purely because his connection with Pete Dunne and it being an all British faction, but he's not had any interaction with Roman or anything, so I don't think that makes sense personally.
I mean, that would be cool, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you'll be better in a better standing to answer than me, but I'm not sure what he's doing on NXT at the moment. I mean, he had his initial.
Oh, he's gone quiet, which is why
he's gone
but
quiet.
I think most people speculated Kevin Owens, and then obviously there was a live event. I think it was last week, and he hurt himself. He limped to the back, and it was reported he's got some sort of sprain or strain. But I've been reading in the last couple of hours that Kevin Owens might be scheduled for this Friday SmackDown. So if that's the case, because what I read was the injury could be anything from 2 to 6 weeks, which isn't a long injury. And obviously WarGames was 2 weeks from when it happened. So maybe it's very minor.
Yeah, and I suppose you can still have him in the match and have some pretty good spots while still protecting him.
Yes, he'll probably be the last man in.
Yeah.
Because it's, in WarGames they go.
Makes sense. It then gives some real tension between him and Sammy. You could even have him as a next challenger, maybe for Roman. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they did do that feud once before, but there's no reason why they couldn't run it back.
No,
I think we're going to get Sheamus and Roman next.
There's a line of people, isn't there? There's still a bit of a queue of people that you can have face him and look a legitimate threat, which is pretty cool.
I think they'll more concentrate on Kevin and Sammy's storyline.
Yeah,
trying to get Sammy out of this situation, and then that'll lead to the Usos versus Kevin and Sammy. But yeah, I think Sheamus will be the next challenger for Roman.
That'd be good. But yeah, I enjoyed that section. Going back into the if we're finished talking about that, are you fish? Just nod if you are.
Yeah, just gotta say, if that is the 5-on-5 match, I'd be really looking forward to that. I would be hyped for that. It'd be great.
I'd hope Triple H wouldn't just throw somebody random in there, but you never know. To be honest, but something else that really did interest me. I don't know if this is going anywhere, but completely unexpected. So we had an LA Knight backstage interview.
Oh, yeah, this was not a feud I expected to see.
He's just chatting, isn't he, to is it Marie Kelly? that her
I'm
name?
not sure who it was. No, I
can't
don't.
remember
That's not her name. I
But
can't remember which
I
interview.
might have just made up a random name.
It might have
there.
been Megan Moran. I'm not sure. It might have been her. It
I'm
might have
not
been
sure.
Kayla Braxton. I'm not sure who it was.
Oh, I've no idea. I'm getting the wrong brands now, aren't I, as well? Yeah, I'm mixing the brands up. But yeah, he's having a backstage interview, and then you get the screen behind flicker for Bray, and that happens a lot anyway, doesn't it? Because it just usually means he's on the show, but didn't expect Bray to then turn up.
Certainly not. No,
and have a bit of a fire back and forth, which resulted in Bray Wyatt then headbutting LA Knight, which I think is interesting because it's showing a real angry side to Bray, which I didn't think we were going to see initially. And also a feud out of nowhere potentially with LA Knight, which I'm hoping is not just a one match thing, because I think these two could really, especially on the microphones, could really go. And LA Knight's
this could be
got that sort of spicy tongue where he's saying some pretty sharp things.
This is a big feud for both of them because I think LA Knight needed a huge. He's not had a big feud on the main roster. I mean, he literally come out of his LA Knight gimmick, beat the former male model guys, and obviously had a bit of a feud with Ricochet, which was fine. But for him to be put in there with Bray Wyatt as Bray Wyatt's first feud is huge for LA Knight, I think.
Yeah.
And from Bray Wyatt's point of view, he hasn't really been feuding with anyone since he come back. He's been feuding with himself almost. This Uncle Howdy character has been being revealed. We're not really sure where it was going. And I was hoping soon we were going to get a feud with someone on the roster, whether like Mr. Howdy was somebody on the roster or somebody else. Yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting it to be LA Knight, but I'm over the moon because I think, like you say, the promos are going to be
interesting to know where this is going to go as well, because you're going to get some serious heat on LA Knight just because of his microphone work. But if Bray is like angry, it's not really face heel, is it?
No.
And I wonder whether, on paper, you'd say LA Knight's going to lose this feud, but is there
I would
other
assume
impacts? So. Are there other impacts which are going to cause this?
Because
obviously because of Uncle Howdy and
we don't know
craziness.
what's going to happen with this Uncle Howdy character and whether he's going to be involved or. So it makes it very intriguing.
You get more out of it as well if you have LA Knight win, like not actually win, but win because Bray has an episode or something like that. He's going to have some serious heat because he's going to think he's Billy Big Balls, isn't he, for beating Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
The Bray Wyatt's not going to lose anything because the stories continue in the sort of mysteriousness around him. But yeah, I'm just excited for this, which is what it's getting me thinking, which is what a good feud should do, isn't it? You don't know
exactly.
What's going to happen.
No, it's really exciting. Like, I don't think anyone expected this feud.
Shows some real investment.
I wonder where they're going to do this. Are they going to drag it on for a while? I don't think it'll be a match at. It could be a match at Survivor Series. It could be. I suppose
it's quite soon, though, isn't it?
But you want Bray's first match to be on quite a big stage. And if they don't do it at Survivor Series, then Royal Rumble's too far away.
That's too far.
So he hasn't wrestled yet. So I would love it if they just did this as a match at Survivor Series. It is quite soon, but unless they do it they could do it on a SmackDown, but it does feel like a bit of a waste. Bray Wyatt feels like he should be.
If it's not sold out, if you put Bray Wyatt on the card, it's going to draw, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to move on to something else if you are.
Definitely, yeah.
We had the start of the World Cup, which was an interesting, announcement for the tournament. We got the full announcement of the competitors. We got the first two matches in there. Interestingly, we got Mustafa Ali on there, replacing the injured Rey Mysterio from SmackDown. So Mustafa Ali, obviously from Raw, but we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Santos Escobar. We talked about the importance of them having a one-on-one match and the importance really of Escobar getting a big win to sort of kickstart his career on SmackDown, and that's exactly what he got here.
Yeah, which was needed. Yeah, I was pleased, but it was a very good match.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
As you say, definitely needed that win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a top rope phantom driver in the end. It's quite an impressive finish to the match from Escobar. to put Nakamura away. I mean, Nakamura feels like an afterthought at the moment, but not everyone can be pushed at once. I know Triple H obviously still likes Nakamura, so I don't think he's got too much to worry about. But Escobar, great start for him. I wonder who he's going to face in the next round. But it could well be the man we saw later on in this World Cup, which was Braun Strowman versus Jinder Mahal coming back. First match in the Triple H era for Jinder. He's not been on TV at all.
I did feel sorry for him here because he's doing a promo, and then he has to face Strowman. Which
at least he got a bit of mic time, a bit of TV time for him. And he did actually, for the first few seconds of the match, he really went at Braun and was getting, and I was like, hang on a minute. They're making Jinder look all right here. And then suddenly Braun just squashed him. But yeah, I mean, it's the right result, obviously. But Braun, my early prediction is that Braun wins this tournament. I just don't see him being stopped. And I think Braun, because the winner gets a number one contendership, don't they, for the Intercontinental title. And I think they can see money in a Gunther Braun Strowman feud.
That is a beast of a match.
Yeah. So I think that's what's going to happen in this tournament. I think it's all set up for Braun to win. There are a couple of matches this week. We've got Ricochet and Ali this week, which will be a high-flying banger of a match, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember. Oh, Sami Zayn and Butch. Sami Zayn and Butch. I mentioned it earlier.
They're going to be two very good matches.
So that'd be great. But I just really think Braun Strowman's going to win. Out of all the people in it, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I've got no issue with that as well. And it's keeping away from titles for now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's the Intercontinental title, but yeah, that's fine.
But I like that. I like the fact that there's an incentive to go to the mid-card titles.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a women's six-pack challenge, and it feels like they book one of these matches every now and then, and they just put all the women on the show because they don't know what to do with them. And this was a bit sloppy, to be honest. There's an awful spot in this that was botched by a table.
Oh, that was terrible, wasn't it? You just have Liv, Raquel, and I can't remember who else was involved. Was it Sonya Deville? Just all lying outside the ring.
It was Sonya.
They didn't know what to do, did they?
No, they messed it up. I'm not sure whose exact fault it was, but
whatever they were trying, experience there. They were just all lying there, weren't they?
And then and the match itself, even before that, wasn't particularly great. It was okay, but it wasn't particularly great. And then Shotzi got the win in the end. Yeah,
and the moment I saw, it's nice to see Shotzi get a bit of a push, but the moment I saw that, I thought, well, this is a 2-minute match then, surely. This is Ronda, and probably, I can't remember her name.
Shayna
Baszler, just basically just destroying her after the match as well. I think potentially, do you think we're going to get a Charlotte Flair return here or something like that?
Maybe, but I feel like they need a new challenger for Ronda because there's just not believable people on SmackDown. She's faced most of the people already that are credible.
Sasha Banks, so that's too soon, really, I think.
I would love it, but yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, you could do
They're going to save that, aren't they, for Rumble, which is what I'm thinking with Charlotte. Are they going to, if they've waited this long, why not?
Survivor Series is in Boston, which is Sasha Banks' hometown. I mean, it would be the perfect time for her to return. I've heard some speculation she could even show up at Full Gear on Saturday. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not sure about her in terms of her return date. It seems like she's got so much going on outside of wrestling at the moment. I'm not sure about Sasha Banks right now.
No.
But I would love it if she returned at Survivor Series and confronted Ronda after the match or something. That would be perfect. Or got involved in the women's WarGames match. But this match was a little bit messy. Lacey Evans took the pin. I actually thought, do you know what? I had a feeling going into the match that Lacey Evans was going to win purely because it was on Veterans Day. And Lacey Evans, obviously, famously is a Marine, isn't she? And I just had a feeling, I was like, oh, they're going to bloody get Lacey to win this for that, aren't they? But they didn't. They had to actually take the pin. So I was quite surprised by that. After the match, Shotzi went backstage and had a little chat with Emma, who didn't do much on this show. Emma was looking for Madcap Moss, which was... I think they're going to do some relationship storyline there because they're dating in real life, Emma and Madcap. So there was a purpose to that. I'm never too
keen with those stories until they're further down the line because it can always be a bit I mean, it's people like Miz and Maurice, Beth, and
plus they're not.
work.
Neither of them are that established that I feel like they work as a couple. Like Miz and Maurice. I mean, Miz has been around so long that you can do that, and like if it's Seth and Becky or someone like two top stars. But yeah, Emma and Madcap would be a bit random. But yeah, anyway, they're interrupted by Shayna, and then Shotzi's basically running her mouth saying she can cause a shock. And then she turns around to tell Ronda, and Shayna Baszler chokes her out. I really like the use of Shayna Baszler at the moment. This is how she should be booked.
Exactly, yeah. She was wasted for years, wasn't she? Yeah,
just a badass who can choke people out anytime she wants. Doesn't even have to wrestle that often. Just doing it backstage to people, all that kind of stuff. Is great. But I think we've got Shotzi v Shayna on Friday, so that should be an interesting one. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, surely Shotzi can't win.
But yeah, but
she can't lose.
She can't lose. Yeah,
she can't lose because that'd just be insane.
Screwy finish or a roll up, probably.
Maybe you get someone in Shotzi's corner.
Emma, maybe after what we saw last week. But
yeah, possibly.
Raquel was a tag team partner before, so you could do that.
But yeah. So moving on, I guess the only other thing I can say that was noteworthy was the Viking Raiders appearing with Sarah Logan.
Yeah, so there was an advertised match of Zelina Vega versus B-Fab. I was like, okay, here we go. Here comes the 5-star classic. And then as they do their entrances, the Viking Raiders music hits. Sarah Logan appears on the ramp, and then the Viking Raiders attack them. Zelina Vega managed to run away, but B-Fab got taken out by Sarah Logan.
Legado and Hit Row both got destroyed.
Yeah, so they might have to team up now rather than feud.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that works, to be honest.
It could be a triple threat feud of some sort. I'm not really sure where it's going, but you've got the 3 women involved. Basically, it's 3 factions, isn't it? With 2 men and 1 woman. So
yeah, it could be quite interesting, actually, couldn't it?
Could be an interesting dynamic. Sarah Logan had a new look, which I've seen her get some heat for because apparently there's a wrestler that she copied it from who looks exactly
I've seen pictures. It does look very similar, but whatever. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I don't think the wrestler's big enough to really be that bothered by. But yeah, she looks pretty cool. Angry.
Yeah, and I think the Viking Raiders were doing really well when just before the injury happened. They had that good match with the New Day, and they were tearing through them. Like they were beating them all the time, and so it'll be interesting to see if they can pick up where they left off because I felt like they were on a bit.
Yeah,
of
they
a
were
roll.
doing really well. The last match they had was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one with the New Day, the Viking Rules match or whatever.
That was sick. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
It was good. So yeah, hopefully they can continue that now. And at least there's some tag teams on SmackDown.
We're getting some. Yeah, we're getting all sorts going on. I'm enjoying it. Well, I think that's all for SmackDown for me. That was anything noteworthy. I think that was most of the show actually.
That was pretty much it. Yeah.
So on to Raw is War. Where would you like to start on this?
I think we need to talk about Austin Theory because last week, obviously, we had the failed cash in. People saying he was buried. People were rightly unhappy with the booking, the waste of the money back. You mentioned it on the podcast last week. Obviously, I wasn't here, but I listened to it
about that.
But and a lot of people saying, "Oh, Austin Theory's like dead in the water now. What does he do from here?" I think they did a great job.
This is perfect
of bringing him back, changing him completely. No selfie. He didn't bring the phone out with him.
He's got a new beard.
Serious.
Yeah. He looks pretty cool now, actually.
He cut a good promo, and then he went after Rollins at the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, actually, I mean, he mentioned it in his promo. He said having the money in the bank was actually holding me back. And at first, I was like, but it's not, though, is it? But then when I watched the show, and I was like, do you know what? I'm probably right.
In real life,
he was never cashing it in.
If we take it out of context, it was holding him back because everyone thought how ridiculous it was that he had it.
And when you've got a champion like Roman, who he's not going to, he's not pinning Roman Reigns for that. He's not cashing in. So
I'm not happy it got
it
wasted,
almost was.
But...
No, I'm not. But the thing is, I don't think Triple H ever books Theory to have that Money in the Bank briefcase.
No.
Vince did that. So he was undoing it. Yeah, he did it. He undone it in a probably not
Theory
the best
to have
way.
a belt, but not to have a Money in the Bank.
No,
not yet.
But I have to say, the sort of the way they rebooked him here, I think, and judging by the reaction I saw online about Theory this week, people seem more interested in him now than they ever have done when he had the big briefcase.
Well,
after this show. So I think in the long run, they've done a great thing here. He also had an absolute banger of a match on this show. He was a bit everywhere, really, because he had he explained the cash
having the Money in the Bank and then turn into this, though, in a way, has a bit of a catapult effect. Yeah. I think because it was so crap, I think Triple H just knows exactly what he's doing. And he's done it the exact right way, hasn't he?
Yeah.
From the losing every week, it wasn't. I don't think it was. I think it was a purposeful burial. I think it was. Yeah, this was all leading to this.
Because people were saying, "Oh, Triple H must not like Theory." I don't think. I think he loves Theory. I think he actually loves Theory. He just wants him pushed in a different way. Yeah. I don't think it's a personal thing. I think it's getting rid of the.
It felt like that, didn't it? But I agree. I think he's just very clever.
Well, he liked him in NXT, but he was just booked very differently.
Definitely. But he had a banger of a match with Ziggler. I bet you got really excited for that.
Yeah, this match was, I thought, the best thing on the show in terms of the wrestler. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And Ziggler, it's just, I mean, I can't put over how good he is at doing this, and he's just not used often enough. But the crowd, I don't know how they do it, but they buy into him winning all the time. The zigzag always get kicked out of, but the crowd always pop when he hits the zigzag and gets a near fall. And his selling was incredible in this match, especially towards the end when Theory took him out, I think, with a punch.
He kicked the hell out of him, didn't he?
And then he's banging his head on the thing. And obviously, I like the finish of the match as well, because we're talking about Theory being rebuilt. He could have pinned him and won after doing the A-Town down. Then he hit another one, and he ends up just referee stopping the match because he was so savage. And I thought, do you know what? That's exactly what Theory needed.
Yeah.
Really, really strong booking for Theory, and I really enjoyed the match with Ziggler. And like I say, I've got to give Ziggler credit as well for making him look amazing. And then he goes after Seth at the end as well. So we'll talk about the main event match in a second. So he attacks Seth Rollins afterwards as well. So not just done on Dolph Ziggler, he goes after the top star on Raw, really, in Rollins.
Yeah, which is going to give him some serious heat, isn't it? Yeah, every decision around Theory was brilliant on that. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and what did you make of the... So we'll talk about the main event because we got a special attraction of a match, really.
So I really enjoyed Seth Rollins. I loved it. Brilliant match. I was thinking, you can't have either of these lose clean here.
Of course.
I mean, you can't take the bet off Seth. That's just insane. He's just got it. And Finn... I just thought, thinking back to when they had the Universal title match, I was like, Finn won that. You can't just have him lose on Raw. This could be a potentially bigger feud.
Yeah. Plus, they're building him versus AJ at the paper.
Yeah.
So
can't have him lose here. But then we ended up with the OC and the Judgment Day coming out and having a massive brawl. And sort of in amongst that, Rollins managed to hit the stomp on Finn to get the 1-2-3. So Rollins got the win on paper, but obviously it was caused by outside interference in a way.
Which we kind of knew was going to happen, but it was the right booking for this match.
Was definitely the right booking. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I'm enjoying the OC Judgment Day stuff. I'm enjoying that a lot.
Yeah, I'm more into it again now. Now there's I was getting annoyed with them not revealing the Rhea Ripley equalizer thing because it was just getting boring. They dragged it out too long. Now they've done that. I think the feud's good again. It's a bit more fresh and interesting. But yeah, really good match between Balor and Rollins. Really good.
Which led on to the Rollins beatdown. Well, since we've mentioned Judgment Day OC feud, we might as well talk about that. So we had a match, Dana Brooke versus Io Sky, which, to be honest, me and Keeney talked a bit about. Maybe Dana Brooke wasn't too much liked, but
I thought you. I thought it was interesting, that conversation about it, because again, a bit like the Theory situation. I don't think that was I know they made some digs on commentary, But I don't think it's personal against Dana Brooke. I think it was they need to get rid of the 24/7 title, and that was the way to do it.
Well, they've given her a chance again, haven't they, on the TV, which is nice against Io Sky, which I guess disproves that theory.
I will say, we'll get to it in a minute, but there were quite a few jobbers that aren't normally on TV on this show that had matches. So that was strange. And Dana Brooke being one of them.
I don't know if Triple H is just trying to give people a chance.
Maybe, but I think also they're a bit thin on they were a bit thin on the ground this week, I think, with injuries. You know, there's quite a few people on Raw out at the moment. They've moved Rey Mysterio over. He got injured. Kevin Owens is injured. Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. I don't know, like you say, Street Profits, I'm not sure where they are, but there's quite a few people on Raw. Obviously, Becky Lynch is missing, Edge is missing. So there's TV time to fill. So the people like Benjamin, Tozawa, Tamina, they all got on this show and they haven't been much recently.
No, definitely. But it is nice to see something a little bit different, I guess.
I agree. I think it was just a little bit too much of one Raw, which maybe brought the quality of the matches down a little bit. I know we've mentioned two that were really good. With the
rest weren't.
There were quite a few squash matches on this show that weren't interesting.
Yeah. Well, as I think I mentioned to you off air, I wasn't as engaged in Raw and SmackDown this week as I have been in previous weeks, and maybe that is why I was really sort of concentrating on the main feuds, but wasn't too bothered on the filler.
Yeah, I think Raw for certain that was the case this week.
Yeah, but I guess the real main point of this was that. I don't know what the main point was now.
So we were talking about Io and Dana.
I've lost myself.
So Io wins with an over the moonsault, and then
that's it.
That was when we set up the women's WarGames match.
That's it. Yeah, Mia comes out. The point I was getting to. Yeah, I'd lost myself on my notes.
That's all right.
Mia Yim coming out. Yeah, to announce that she's in the WarGames match, which is cool. Look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and then Rhea Ripley, obviously, on the opposite side of that.
Yes.
And Tails Damage Control. So now we've got 9 names confirmed out of 10. So we've got all 5 members of the Heels. You've got Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and Rhea. And then you've got the 4 baby faces: Bianca, Alexa, Asuka, and Mia Yim. So there's 1 spot remaining. I'm assuming it's going to be Candice LeRae at this point.
Yeah, I think
because they took her out. But I don't know. She hasn't been on Raw for a couple of weeks, but
I think I agree it's going to be, and I think we'll see her this coming Monday.
Yeah.
But talking about Mia Yim, I mean, as you say, it sort of all feels it sort of goes from one thing to the other, doesn't it? So Mia Yim had a match versus Tamina.
Yeah.
As you say, another quite harshly you call them jobbers, but yeah.
Well, she is a jobber, isn't she?
Ain't nobody meaner, Fisher. Don't you ever forget that. But yeah, Mia Yim got the win. There's not much else to say about that.
No, the match was short, and it was just basically to give Mia Yim a first match and a first win, which is fine. You don't have to have a wrestle. No. Thing is, I thought, they're probably going to have a match against someone like Io Shirai or Dakota Kai, and then get pinned or rolled up on her first match. I'd rather her just have a quick squash match and beat Tamina, and save them wrestling for the pay-per-view.
She looks really cool now as well. One thing I did, she's got old Becky Lynch goggles on.
Yeah, I think she fits. I know you said it last week as well. I think she fits really well with the OC.
She does.
I think she just seems really cool, and I like the fact they've given her a nickname and everything. And yeah, I think it's quite cool. I
like the little comedy elements they have as well. Sometimes I don't like it, but I quite liked the Gallows. Gallows sort of comments, which was just quite funny with me and playing off of that. And that's where we got, that's where you mentioned earlier, Finn gearing up to face AJ Styles. That's where we got the announcement.
Yes.
The challenge.
That's going to be
to 1v1 at Survivor Series. That'd be a banger,
Yeah. I mean, we were speculating that, there's enough people for them to do some sort of War Games or multi-person thing at Survivor Series, but we've already got the other 2 War Games matches. I would rather see a one-on-one Finn Balor AJ Styles match. That's the best match you can do out of those situations. The others are sure to be involved, but Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. I mean, who doesn't want a bit of that? And that could go either way. It's an interesting one. Let's move on to something else. Talking of the Judgment Day, we got Dominic versus Shelton Benjamin as well. He beat him with a frog splash. Poor old Shelton Benjamin losing to Dominic, but That's life for him these days, unfortunately.
Yeah. Riddle versus Gable had a banger.
Yeah, that was a good match.
Random match.
We've seen them quite a bit wrestle, these two, but
Riddle's definitely a bit lost. I think he is now just wandering around waiting for the Royal Rumble for Mr. Orton to return, and then he's going to be thrown into a massive feud. That's what I think's happening at the moment. A bit of a shame because he had a lot of momentum.
He did with the Rollins feud as well. He had with the Rollins feud was great, and then then he just kind of got paired with Elias, and hasn't. I mean, it's not been bad, but it just hasn't done much yet. And I feel like they are just. Yeah,
they need to build love for him, though. I feel to make it more crushing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're waiting for Randy Orton to come back, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe they get Survivor Series out of the way.
Good match between the two of them, and a rare win for Gable.
Yeah.
He never wins. No. Otis obviously lifted his feet onto the thing, so I think he lost. Did he beat or lose to Otis last week? And then he lost again to Gable. So Riddle's lost a couple of times as well.
I think Otis beat him.
I think so. Yeah. So he's lost to both members as well. Obviously, we are going to get a tag match of Elias. Like that's clearly coming. And then Riddle and Elias will probably get their win back. But yeah, certainly quite interesting. What was also interesting on his show was the use of Akira Tozawa. Haven't seen him in a long time.
I actually really like this.
So he had a fun little poker thing backstage with Corbin and JBL, which led to a match. It was to set up a whole thing. But what's interesting for me is the aftermath of what was posted online afterwards. But if you want to talk about the actual match itself, because you said you liked it, or there's site promos or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I just found it relatively amusing, I guess. I didn't take it very seriously, didn't read into it too much, which I guess you're about to tell me what happened and I might backtrack. But I think it was just nice to see Corbin. He's pretty good at doing these weird sort of promos, like back in the days of when it was pre-Happy Corbin and actual early days Happy Corbin. It was quite good. It got stale quite quickly after that. This just thought it was just something random.
I loved that by the end of it, he looks like Corbin looked like when he was bum ass Corbin again, and JBL looked all like his hair was all like
it
looked well stressed, like his tie was undone. He was just like, I love that. The match itself wasn't too much, but Tozawa actually dominated it. Which I thought was a bit weird. And then Corbin just hit the end of days. They kept playing up that there was going to be a massive upset. He was on the top rope. He was doing drop kicks. And I was like, why is Tozawa dominating this match? It was really weird.
The only feeling, I noticed that actually, but the only reason I feel that probably is a good way of playing the story, because Corbin's so annoyed and distracted by the fact he's just lost all this money. He wasn't sort of in the zone, whereas normally he's coming out to kick ass.
Yeah.
But it is a bit weird, isn't it?
But yes, like I said, I think the reason that they did that was because I noticed afterwards, and this is what I'm saying about the post online. So Tozawa posted a picture of him of the ninja outfit, as if he was saying like goodbye to that. So I don't know, and then it said something like goodbye or something like that. Now I don't know if he's leaving WWE and his contract's running out and he's leaving, or whether Triple H has said, I don't like your ninja gimmick, I think it's stupid. You can go back to being the original Akira Tozawa you were, when he was quite popular.
I used to really enjoy it.
So I've got a feeling the reason they gave him this match and gave him some time was because it was either his last match in WWE or his last match in that gimmick.
Yes.
So either way, I think it means that.
Hopefully not his last match in WWE, because I think he's got. I enjoy it.
A lower card comedy character. He's fine, isn't he?
Yeah. Was that it?
There was some stuff with the Miz.
Of course. Just can't. I've said it before. I'm just not enjoying this.
No, I'm not really.
I can't get into it. This is so boring and a waste of Gargano and the Miz. I mean, I know Keeney really likes Dexter Lumis. I enjoyed it initially, where he was sort of in the crowd and things. I just don't think I'm a Dexter Lumis
I'm
fan.
not.
I think,
do you know what?
think that's
Without
the
Indy
problem is.
Hartwell, I don't like him as much. I think the relationship stuff with Indy Hartwell was good. I liked the stuff they did there. Without Indy Hartwell, I don't think it's as good. No. And I've enjoyed Gargano's part in this. I liked the segment with the investigation and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, in terms of he could be doing something a lot better. And this felt just a bit samey. Miz apologized, but then basically didn't. And then Gargano said that in 2 weeks, Lumis will have a match for with the Miz, and if Lumis wins, he has to pay him all he owes him, and he gets a WWE contract. But we've already had that. Well, I don't know, we didn't actually get the match, but that was meant to happen weeks ago. So we're basically back to where we were. And Lumis is obviously going to win, isn't he? So
yeah,
it's a bit of a waste of time. Really.
I'm ready for it to be done. Yeah, I can't.
I am now.
You can't like everything, can you? I mean, you can't like everything on the show, and this is one of those things I don't like. I mean, bit odd that I just spoke about a poker game that Tozawa versus Corbin, and I liked it. So, but it's whatever floats, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, exactly.
This does not float mine.
No, and not like you say, not everything's going to realistically.
I think that's all I've got.
Yeah, I was thinking, God, there must have been more than that. But
and we've ended on the Miz feud. Yeah, I know. I wish there was something positive to talk about, but I think there was some good stuff this week. There was some very good wrestling. I noticed we didn't choose a skid mark or a top mark. That wasn't anything I really hated. There was some banging matches. I mean, the top mark could have gone to Usos.
I would have given the Theory. I would have given the booking of Theory the top mark. I think. I think my skid mark would have been the women's 6-way match on SmackDown.
Oh, the messed up botch spot wasn't good.
That wasn't good.
I think the way they dealt with it was a bit weird. It was like none of them knew what to do.
It was shot. It was poor.
Let's skid all over that, shall we?
Yeah. That I haven't actually given out many top marks and skid marks recently. I feel like I've stopped. I think because the WWE product now is more solid and there's not as many embarrassing things, but there's loads of good things, but occasionally there's something amazing. I think we're not doing it as much. It's not as obvious. Maybe that's a good thing, but yeah. But in terms of
good thing,
we've got predictions coming up. So Full Gear this weekend, if you want to join in the predictions for that, which is Saturday night, and then we've got Survivor Series WarGames next week.
You could tell you got a sore throat. That wasn't quite
as good as it. But last week you said it's not the same without me doing it.
Next week we'll get the proper WarGames.
Yeah.
And if you're new to listening, Fisher likes doing a WarGames impression that William Regal used to do.
Yeah.
Because that would have been really weird if you didn't know what that was. But it's great. Well, I hope you're suitably recharged. Keep an eye, as Fisher said, because we will fire out our predictions next week. We actually have some AEW predictions this week, which you can join in on our Twitter. Whether or not you've been in our little tournament or not, please follow us and join in. It's just a bit of fun.
At Recharge Wrestle.
Yes, that's it, at Recharge Wrestle. And if you're listening to this on podcast, please follow us on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. We are Recharge Wrestling. If you type that into your search bar, you should see us somewhere down there. And we will see you all next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.